Missed my flight to Africa. And he's like, oh, apparently there's a war that broke out in the Middle East. I sent you money. What did you do with it? The car just stops and it stalls out in the middle of like a Nairobi highway.
Take me back to the hotel
right now. Yeah.
So you have all the dogs.
I have all the dogs. You have no dogs.
I have nothing. And you just got back from Africa.
Yes, so that's the whole purpose of us sitting down today, is to talk about what my trip was like, because everybody's been asking me ever since I got back what my trip was like. And so maybe I should just record the response and then
let everybody know that how it went. And it was, from what I've heard from you, it's not what we had expected. There was some twists and turns.
Oh yeah, like from like before I even left, it was like curveballs were being thrown at me. So very first day, already missed my flight to Africa because the flights that were booked for me just didn't time right. So I get to the Qatar Airlines gate like 2 minutes too late to get on my flight. And my videographer is on the plane. And he didn't produce anything. He didn't plan anything. He doesn't know who's picking us up.
Oh my gosh.
So I have to call him because they won't let me on the flight. I have to call him and tell him I'm not getting on this plane. And he's like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. So I panic. I end up staying in New York City overnight with Cortez and Mario. Shout out to them and their crash pad in Manhattan.
Which is a lovely night.
It's a lovely night. It ended up working out great. But Gary was on his way to Africa all by himself next to my empty window seat.
Oh, man.
But he got an upgrade. But yeah, so anyway, so that was just like crazy. Then the next day, I get on the same flight, but 24 hours later. So I get on it. As I'm boarding the flight, I get a notification from Gary that he's landed and none of his bags have arrived. So none of his camera equipment, none of his clothes. He literally doesn't have anything, not even a toothbrush to his name. And I'm like, okay, so already two problems. Get on the flight. Then I have my layover in Qatar, right? And I get off the plane in Doha airport and walking around like just living my best life, doing my Instagram stories, showing everyone how luxury this airport is.
This is the nice airport.
It was so nice. I mean, it honestly feels like the Gardens Mall. Like
right.
It's Louis Vuitton.
Lots of designer shops.
Yeah, yep. Totally. Jewelry shops. Like it's just so gorgeous. So I'm walking around enjoying it, get on my next flight to Uganda and turn on my phone off, obviously. Land in Uganda, put my phone back on, and it's like notification central. Like ding, 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 ding. Everybody's like sending me messages. Sophie, where are you? Sophie, where did you land? Sophie, did you take off? Sophie, where are you? Sophie, respond, respond, respond. Sophie, respond! Like all these exclamation points.
Because war, right?
Yeah. Well, I had no idea what was going on at that point. So I'm standing there in the customs
we weren't
line.
prepared for it either. Yeah, no one knew.
Not at all. So there's some dude standing behind me in the customs line and he's like, oh, apparently there's a war that broke out in the Middle East. And I'm like, what? And I look at it. JP's been following my flight from home. And come to find out, my plane was the very last plane to leave Doha before missiles started flying and they shut down the airspace. Like literally minutes away from being stuck in the Middle East during a war. And, they weren't bombing government buildings. They were bombing hotels.
Right.
So anyway, it's so crazy. So I'm in Uganda. I'm feeling like just so grateful that I landed, that, someone was watching over my flight for sure. I feel like, I'm in a peaceful country. Alex and Alphonse from Ahmed Siko Tours, also shout out to them. They're like smiling faces collecting us. Like instantly I feel so much better. Gary's there. My plane has Gary's luggage. So
you were bringing his, his equipment to shoot everything.
Yeah.
But wait, I have to ask though, at any point, were you just like, I'm not supposed to be doing this?
No, if anything, I think it solidified that I was supposed to be doing this. Like someone was watching over my trip plans, for sure. For sure. And in the end, it really kind of all worked out. Again, curveballs. I was supposed to spend, as you know, like 10 or 12 days with missionaries while I was filming. They had to postpone their trip to June because they couldn't fly with this war. They couldn't get a flight in.
Right.
So now they're completely canceled because of Ebola. So if I hadn't gotten on that flight the day that I did, the minute that I did, I would have done all of that production work for this Africa trip and I wouldn't have been going at all.
Right. Yeah, it just wouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't have happened at all. So anyway, It was really good though, because I was like instantly just feeling like so much better that I landed. It was peaceful. And Alex and Alphonse from Amatsiko Tours took really good care of us. And I mean, the rest was, but yeah, every single day I had to like pivot. Okay, new plan. Okay, now I don't have people coming to meet me. Okay, now I have to reproduce this whole 3 weeks of time, like day by day. Then my phone breaks.
And I mean, I know you very well, and I know that you are a very well-planned person. Mm-hmm. So how did it feel just not having so much control over film production, having to kind of each day to day it was changing?
Yeah. Good question. I think because I went into it knowing that I was going to get hit with Africa in general will challenge you without a war, without all of these travel issues.
That's why I didn't go. Someone had to hold on the fort.
Exactly. But yeah, I think it's a very challenging atmosphere anyway. So I went into it with a mentality of, okay, you're probably going to have to pivot. Right. But I just had no idea that I thought the challenges were going to come from Africa, but the challenges were coming from outside Africa. So that was basically it. I mean, the trip itself was so awesome. It ended up being, everything worked out for the best, because the time that I had on land, I was able to spend maximizing it for the film project. Whereas otherwise, a lot of the plans that we had would have been great experiences, but not necessarily things that I was going to put in the episodes of the series. So it kind of just really all worked out for the best. And it was a really great 3 weeks. I mean, it was a roller coaster ride, but a really great 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, how was it working with Gary? Tell me about Gary, because we're talking about Gary losing. He didn't get his equipment in time when he arrived, but then you're bringing it in. In comes Gary.
Yeah. So in comes Gary, and this is my first time meeting him in person, by the way, in Uganda,
which is amazing.
Yeah, I know. Well,
you trusted him. Well, he came highly recommended.
From African Orphan Educational Foundation. He's done things with them before. He'd been to Uganda before. That was really cool to me.
So how was it working with Gary?
First of all, you have a doggy now, and I'm pleased with that.
I know. I was definitely jealous, but
Hi, Butts. Okay, so Gary, first of all, this was my first time meeting him in person. Just like absolutely wild. But he came highly recommended from African Orphan Educational Foundation. He had been to Uganda before, which it was important to me to find someone who understands Africa and has seen it before, because again, it's just what a culture shock if you don't know what you're getting into.
Especially for such a project too. So to have already been there before.
Right. Again, because Africa throws challenges at you. And he understood that. So he was, again, prepared to pivot. And he did so great. I mean, he was fantastic. But yeah, I meet him for the first time in Uganda. We're all smiles because, again, now he's got his bags, right? And now I'm there, and now we can get to doing the trip, and we're, with the tour company that we trusted to pick us up. So everything is all good. He was awesome throughout the entire trip, really catching some creative, shots. We rented a drone in Uganda because we didn't want to try and fly in with it. It would have probably been confiscated without paperwork, and apparently it's a nightmare. So we rented one there. And that was a lot of fun using it. We did get in trouble. So for anyone who doesn't understand, usually any sort of a national park, even here in the States, any sort of a national park, you absolutely
you can't fly a drone.
Cannot fly a drone.
Right.
No, absolutely. And Uganda has the same restrictions. Absolutely no way. So did I tell you about the drone story with the gorillas?
No.
Okay. So we go gorilla trekking, right?
Which is awesome.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
And after we do the gorilla trek, Gary wanted to get some drone shots of the village that sits right outside the National Protected Forest and Brindi Forest. And so, we're in this village where these kids have not seen, these village, or they've never seen a drone.
Well, there's a lot of humans here in South Florida who haven't seen a drone too, but I can definitely understand what you're saying. I'm sure even hearing the drone, they were like, what is that?
Well, I mean, they've never even heard of one before. So they're like, is that a crazy bird?
What is that?
So Gary's flying the drone around the village. It's of course attracting a ton of attention. He's having so much fun because the kids are like chasing it up and down the road of the village, and they're laughing and they're screaming and they're jumping up and they're trying to catch it, and he's getting all these really cool shots with it of these kids playing. But then this like Mr. Boss Man of the park starts to hear all of the commotion, and he comes out and he sees that there's a drone flying, and he's like instantly goes over to Gary and Alex Abelmatsiko, and he's like, yeah, you're gonna have to come with me. Basically, they're told that we have to go to the office.
Oh no.
To their office. Because we were flying the drone, but they thought we were flying it in the park, and we weren't.
You weren't, yeah. You knew better than that, but still.
I think the other thing too is that they saw an opportunity because they saw that I was white, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's like the minute that they feel like we're doing something we shouldn't be doing, then it's always a question of, all right, how much money am I going to have to fork up to get us out of this?
Okay.
So I'm like prepared for like, all right, now that I'm just going to turn into a bribe situation where I'm going to have to fork up money, We get there, we sit down. They give Alex a hard time because they said, they really said you should have told them that they're not allowed to fly drones around here. Alex had no reason to tell us not to. We were not flying in a national park. And so it became like this whole thing where he starts talking about like, I'm going to have to fine you $800 per person for flying the drone. And I'm like, okay. And because he thought we were doing some sort of marketing. He was like, I hear you guys are doing marketing. And I was like, well, okay. So I said, all right, we're not doing marketing. I said, what I'm doing here is I'm filming a show called The American Dream. I said, everybody in America has a very small window of what Africa looks like. And The American Dream, Africa Rising, is about the positivity you guys have here. Not how poor, how conflicted, how hungry everyone is. It's about positive people doing positive things in their communities and all of the great things that are happening here, the vibrancy. And when I explained that to him, he really kind of like sort of like calmed down. And he was like, well, he's like, that's true. We're not running around barefoot and naked. And, Americans don't understand.
So he saw the importance.
Of it. He ended up letting us go.
Oh, good.
Alex and Alphonse also called somebody they knew. So that also helped. That was his boss.
Right.
Apparently in the family. So that helped too. But it was just like, Gary was like, what's going to happen? When you get pulled into someone's office in a country you don't know, you're like, all right.
And I mean, honestly, it can happen in any country when you don't follow their rules. Right. You're in their
territory.
Country. Yeah, exactly.
So it's definitely like a learning experience. But I want to talk more about what you were doing here while I was over there.
Oh my gosh. Well,
first of all, let's talk about some of the transactions you had going on. We had going on when I left, right? We had several different listings. You had a referral from Echo agent that you were like, how many houses did you show them?
Around 25, 30. I don't know. I lost count. But we ended up finding the proper house for them. I think the biggest thing was the day that you left. I feel like the day that you left, all hell broke loose, and it's always like that. If you try to take a vacation, if you're in real estate, then everybody wants you. Right?
Oh yeah,
you're busy.
That's the line. If you need business as an agent, go on vacation.
Go on vacation, yeah. But luckily, there's two of us, and one goes on vacation, the other person's here, to be able to handle everything. So that's why we obviously work so well together. But the day that you had left, there was one contract that we thought was going to be closed, and that was a challenge in and of its own, and we ended up not closing. And we put it back on the market literally the same day, and over that weekend we were able to put it back under contract.
And that was right before I was leaving. I was literally texting you every single buyer I've ever been in contact with over that
We knew something was going to go sideways, and it did, but that blew up, and then thankfully we were able to pull that back under contract in a matter of days, and the offer ended up being equal, if not a little bit stronger, to the number that they had received. So, but yeah, you and I were definitely busy. You were busy, obviously, filming in Africa, and I was definitely running around, 5 5 of our listings, went under contract. 2 of them closed. A buyer that, again, we'd been working with for quite some time found a home. We had crazy inspections happening day of closing, a water leak, a lot of things happening. And I love having you and I in our dynamic of working together because we bounce ideas off each other. So I really had to just pull it back in.
I know you didn't have me.
I didn't have you.
I know.
But I survived, and I think it just shows how strong we are as a team, but also how strong we are separately too. Just even your stories with Africa, just how you're so resilient and able to bounce back.
No, I mean, honestly though, I have vivid memories of sitting with Gary at one of our hotels, and I'm just checking my phone real quick while I have Wi-Fi, and I'm like, oh, well, that listing went under contract. Great.
I was trying to keep you updated. I didn't want you worrying.
I mean, I was copied in all the emails so I could see what was going on. And
well,
I'm like,
the internet was spotty though. You didn't. So
that was it. It was spotty. So I was like, I'm telling Gary, I'm like, thank God I have Gabrielle. I don't have to worry about any of this.
It all worked out in the end, and it was all, of course, it was a roller coaster with real estate, up and down, up and down. But it sounds like your trip was the same way too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And actually, while you were dealing with, I think a headache with one of our buyers, and you were putting out some sort of a fire, and it was just a nightmare, and you had been dealing with it for a few days. I'm dealing with a challenge of having to drop the tour operator I had hired for Kenya.
Well, we had actually been able to chat that day, but I want to know again, remind me what happened, because that day that I'd spoken with you, I was still just so floored by the fact that you were going through that.
Okay, so I won't say the name of the company.
Right. Out of respect. But you know who you are.
But so his name is David. So we had really great communication during the production process up until the trip. He had been super responsive. He had been super above board with everything. His company was just really on it with social media and, promoting our visit. He got an endorsement letter from the Kenyan government.
I mean, that's impressive.
I mean, yeah, it was a real government letter.
I can see why you would think 100%, I can trust this person.
Yeah, I had no red flags at all. Absolutely no red flags at all until I got to him. And first it started off with confusion over dates with me being there. He ended up picking me up a day early, which I thought he did so because he had a plan for me for a day early. No, he just confused the dates. So there was a lot of confusion in the beginning, hotel confusion, who's paying for what. It was kind of just, and at first I was like, all right, he wasn't supposed to have me today, so maybe that's where things get lost. Right. But then the next day, when he was supposed to be with us, and we had a full itinerary planned for the next week and a half, a very, very busy schedule of traveling all over Kenya and getting all kinds of footage. And day one, that we go out to get some footage. Again, lots of confusion over who was going to be driving us. We ended up in 3 different vehicles throughout the day, and it just seemed very lost. We were not really in the know. Everything was spoken in, their local language. And
see, at that point, I would have been going outer body. I would have been, this is again, you holding everything together. And what I mean by that is I would have started panicking. But you also...
Well, I was kind of that's not the most efficient, but I also wasn't seeing any red flags yet.
Yes,
I was okay. We definitely picked up that our care from him was not the same as Alex and Alphonse from Amazigh. I mean, Alex and Alphonse, I'll tell you about how they took care of us, but we were treated like royalty in their care. This guy was just a little bit kind of aloof and
almost new.
Kind of new, he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
So then there were a few instances where, for example, he tried to squeeze 6 people into a 5-seater vehicle. And I was like, why? Well, I don't understand who these other people are. Why are they even here? Why are they with us? They're not part of our film project.
Right.
At first, the car had no AC. The driver is not actually a driver. It's this guy's buddy that he threw some extra money at to spend some time driving for us. But this guy, so I was like, all right, well, okay, this seems a little bit not above board. So I'm like, all right, we have the instance where all 6 of us are squeezed into a teeny tiny vehicle. Gary was not pleased. And then my secondary videographer, who's local and Kenyan, was also like, this is a little bit jacked up.
Yeah.
Now, for a local to say that.
Yeah, you rely on what they're saying.
Yeah, like, and
they know the standards.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that. I ended up having a very long conversation with David after day 2 because there was just a laundry list of things that weren't adding up. And I could tell that he was going to start asking me for more money. And I had sent him money to take care of my itinerary per our agreement.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, this is getting a little bit jacked up. You seem to not know how much time it takes to get places. We've wasted a lot of time. You've been very disorganized. And you're about to ask me for more money. Let me ask you, are you a licensed tour company? No, he's not. He told me he wasn't.
And this is the first time hearing this.
And this is my first time hearing this.
Right.
And I said, that's what I thought, based after the last couple of days. Okay. I said, I sent you money. What did you do with it? So he starts going through line by line everything that he spent my money on. And it didn't go to the hotels we were supposed to be staying at. It didn't go to the cars that were supposed to be driving us around. It went to bribing different people and relationships to being involved in my production.
So he didn't necessarily have the connections, but he was leveraging, obviously, money to be able to get those connections.
That's exactly it.
When he had originally pitched it to you that he had the connections.
100%.
Right.
100%.
Well, that sucks.
And he would, and he told me, and he flat out told me that a lot of the relationships that he had built with me coming were because I was coming.
Right.
Relationships that he had been trying to build for years, and they had told him no, no, no. But now that he had me as this like wild card playing chip, that all of a sudden they were coming around. And so he had to lie to me. He said he had to lie to me in order to get me to come. So I was not pleased with any of this.
That makes
obviously.
sense. I need to lie to you in order to get you here, and then I'm going to lie to you some more.
Right.
Right. All right.
So I'm not pleased.
Right.
So we go through all of the money that he spent, and I do the math, and I convert from their money to our money, and I go, all right. So based on my calculations here, you still have about more than $500 of my money. And I said, where is it? And then he sits there and he starts scrolling his phone while I stare at him for 2.5 minutes like this.
So what was he doing? Just trying to look like he was looking for?
Almost like he was going to come up with this magical bank account
He
that was going to have my
He was
money
buying
in it.
time.
I don't know what he thought was going to happen if I was going to magically disappear.
I think he
while
thought you were going to
scrolled.
let it go.
Nope. But I sat there and stared. I was like, okay, so you have, and so by the end of it, I was like, you're not getting any more money of my money. I said, when we go to Homa Bay, which Homa Bay is far away. It's either a full day's drive, but really you should be taking a plane.
Okay.
I said, when we get to Homa Bay, where are we staying? Is it at the Cold Springs Hotel you told me about? That was in our itinerary? And he was like, no, I don't think we can afford that. Okay, so you don't have a place locked in. I said, what are we driving when we get to Homa Bay? How are we riding around? And he said, we're going to get on a boda boda. A boda boda is one of those little mopeds.
Yeah, and I didn't know that until actually you told me about that. And
Yeah.
I've seen memes about him now for whatever reason, because I had to Google it, and I was like, wow.
I would ride one if I wasn't like a well-dressed makeup
Well, maybe if it
hair.
was like, a 5-minute ride, but you're not going to be on that for hours.
I was like, David, no. I was like, Gary's got a very heavy bag
Full
with
of expensive
dollars
equipment. Yeah.
So he's like, oh, well, I was like, that's not going to work. I said, so we're not going to Homa Bay. I said, I'm not going to give you any more money. I said, what we're going to do is we're going to film what we need to film right here in Nairobi in the surrounding areas that we can get to within an easy drive. I was like, after that, we're going to see how it goes. He says, well, I've got the chief advisor to the president of Kenya coming tomorrow. He's coming here tomorrow to meet with you.
Which that was impressive.
It was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, that was the only reason why he didn't get the boot that night. I mean,
well, at
honestly,
that point, I was actually speculating whether or not this
was
guy
gonna
was
happen.
This guy was real. And I was like, he's coming here. He said, yeah. And I said, all right, well, we'll see how tomorrow goes. The next day I'm feeling better because the chief advisor does show up with his security team, with the whole thing. So, all right, this is feeling legitimate again.
Right.
Great. So after this great interview with the chief advisor to the president of Kenya.
And you're all high and happy and
living
high on life,
Even my secondary local videographer
Like, wow,
is
this
even
is
like,
great.
okay, I'm feeling a little bit better about this guy. I think, your conversation that you had with him last night got through to him. And so I'm like, okay, great. So we were going to go film a school after that. We were going to stop for lunch. We were going to meet in the lobby of the hotel, and we were going to go film a school. I get to the lobby of the hotel. David's not there. I thought we were waiting around for him. We sat there waiting around for him for like 20 minutes. His driver buddy, James, was there. So I'm like, James, where's David? Oh, he left. He had to go take care of something. And I'm like, all right, so am I just going to film the school with you then? Yep. He's like, we have no gas. And I said, okay, for the future, right? Because I'm going to keep my patience, because again, I know that Africa throws you challenges. Not everything's going to be perfect. I said, okay, for the future, if you could, instead of sitting on your phone in the lobby while I'm filming things, go and get the gas, that would be great. Because everything is time. Time is money. He said, okay, well, the problem we have is money. And I said, well, David and I agreed last night that
we have money left over. Yeah.
$500+ of my money. So you should be getting that money from him to fill the tank. He says, okay. So we get in the car. We start headed off to the
So wait, he says okay. Does he go and fill the tank?
No, he doesn't.
He just says okay.
Well, here's the thing. We climb into the car.
Oh my God.
And I thought we were going to stop and get gas.
Okay.
We get far enough into the city, just far enough into the city, maybe 8 minutes into this ride. And all of a sudden the car just stops and it stalls out in the middle of like a Nairobi highway. And it's stuck in between 2 lanes.
That's awful.
So
and there's a lot of traffic.
There's a ton of traffic. It's flipping rush hour at this point, and the car, he's trying to restart it. And I'm like, David,
there's no gas.
I was like, did we run out of gas? Actually, this was James, excuse me.
I was going to say, okay, yeah.
We're out of gas, right?
Yeah.
Is there no gas? And he's like, yeah, we're out of gas. And I said, stop trying to restart the car. It's not going to restart.
It's so funny, the acting.
Right? The acting. So then he literally jumps out of the car, jumps on a boda, and flies away and leaves me, Gary, and my secondary videographer sitting in this hot car, like sitting ducks on this highway. I'm looking out the back windshield.
Watching vehicles come at you.
Yes, come at me, making a hard left right
You're
before
basically
they
an
hit
accident or someone's about to frickin' hit you.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there. Gary is livid.
But you can't get out of the car.
Nope.
What would happen if you got out?
Well, see, here's the thing. I'm a very well-dressed white woman.
Right.
With a purse.
And you have to be aware of, obviously, your surroundings. You're in a different country, and you know this because you're well-traveled.
Yeah.
You know better than to just get out. But on the flip side, so Gary is sitting in there with you.
Gary's sitting in there. Now, he could get out at the end of the day the minute I do. And we're sitting in this hot car. All of a sudden, now it's a tension.
Right.
Nobody thinks twice about a car being stuck in the middle of a Nairobi highway. It happens all the time.
Right.
But now us, sitting by the side of
You're
the car.
drawing attention.
No flipping way.
I have to ask, what could have been the worst-case scenario? For the viewers want to know.
Oh, I mean,
I want to know.
Who knows? We could have, with all of Gary's equipment in the car. I'm assuming theft could have happened.
Yeah. It's just a very chaotic, fast-paced environment, and anything could have happened.
Anything could have happened, and we would have been. So after that, James comes back with a water bottle. Literally a Poland Springs water bottle filled with
I'm
fuel.
surprised he came back and wasn't just like, you know what, I'm out for the day.
It's his car, so
get a couple days. Just get them out of here.
It was his car, so he was motivated to go back again. So he fills up the tank with that much gas, right? Just enough to get back in the car, and I'm like, take me back to the hotel right now.
Yeah.
I'm no longer going anywhere with you ever. So we get out. He doesn't even say goodbye. He didn't even pop the trunk for Gary to get his stuff. He had to struggle with the trunk.
Oh, poor Gary.
So we get to the hotel lobby, and I sent David a message letting him know that our relationship was done. I would no longer be promoting or filming with his company. And then if he tried to reach out again, that I would inform all of these great relationships that he built using my name.
Leveraging you, though.
I was
honestly,
cared for in his care.
And honestly, you built those relationships. He leveraged you, but you built them all. I want to take a step back. It was the advisor to the president. Who did you meet with?
So his name is Honorable Jauko Obaru.
Okay.
He is the special advisor to the president in sustainable living and economic development.
Perfect.
Yeah, so exactly right up my alley.
Yeah, right up your alley.
He had really great ideas and really great initiatives that he's been working on towards, building Kenya's economy, continuing to, send them in a forward trajectory of being, one of the leading countries in Africa financially. He gave us, I can't wait for that episode to come out because he gave us a lot of really cool insight to, his background and what it's like to be the chief advisor to a president of, Africa.
Right.
Of a country in Africa. So that was just a really cool experience.
It is a very cool experience.
So with all these curveballs that happened throughout this trip, everything really happened the way it should have, I think.
Right.
In the end, everything worked out the way it was. So to answer your question from before, I absolutely felt like I was supposed to be there. I felt like everything had actually pivoted for the benefit of the production of the series, and I can't wait for the whole world to see it.
And when does it start?
First episode should be released around mid-June, so stay tuned, everyone, and follow us on YouTube.
I don't feel like this conversation's done. This will be to be continued for certain.
For sure, because we've got a lot of really cool things now happening after the trip, so stay tuned, subscribe to our channel.